My name is Regina George, and I am a massive deal. Welcome back to another episode of Showgays Movie Musical Podcast, where we discuss movie musicals that are currently in the theaters. This is probably the closest we will ever get.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is after this.
Even sooner than Color Purple.
Yeah.
Because
we're never going to top
this. Came out 2 days ago. It's Sunday, the 14th of January that we're recording this. This movie came out officially on January 12th.
We were invited to watch
We were selected by
paying for tickets for an advanced screening because,
on
people, because people respect us and want us to give them.
We're part of the cultural conversation.
Yeah. We're big.
We set the
cultural makers.
cultural conversation.
We really do. We set the tone. We set what's important. I want to know, boys, what was the general makeup of the audience at your early screening?
A lot of women, a lot of girlies.
There were a few gays, a few musical theater gays. So we watched this at the AMC Evanston, right at the heartbeat of Northwestern University.
And they have a Northwestern reference in the film.
You know, when the Northwestern joke came out, the girls were
gooped and gagged.
They were gagged.
There were like a few old old dragons like us, around where we were sitting, like older gay men.
Were the women also around your age, or
the women were definitely young,
our age, younger?
Okay. Yeah.
I would say there were at least some people who knew the original musical.
Well, if you're a Northwestern girl, those BFAs are tuning in. The BFAs.
I will say that there were a couple moments where we heard people not singing along, per se, but when you do the thing where you mouth it, but then certain consonants still have a sound.
But they kept themselves together to some extent.
Yeah.
To some extent. Yeah.
Okay. I went to the AMC. I think it's called AMC La Jolla. It's not really La Jolla.
Oh, we didn't ask Molly, but thank
Jesus. Adam got a Stanley knockoff. Now he feels like
okay.
So
I
now,
see.
So
That's
now
giving Regina George power.
So now
I'm
he feels so
my
powerful.
Regina George bag.
There was a lack of Stanleys in this film. I'll say that.
Lack of Stanleys. Yeah.
I went to. I think it's called AMC La Jolla, but it's in University City. So over by University of Southern California. Or not Southern, that's USC. That's
USC.
University of California, San Diego. Yeah, UC San Diego. And I would say that the crowd was exactly who I would expect to go to a Trixie and Katya show. It was majority women my age who I think love the original Mean Girls. And then there were some 12-year-olds and their moms. And then there was a healthy dose of millennial gays. Yeah. It was a good vibe.
It checks out. It checks out for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's. Okay, so I adjusted. I don't know if you saw, Molly. I adjusted the spreadsheet for the summaries because of how I fucked up when I did Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Thank you for taking credit or taking.
So I'm gonna do it.
Having accountability. Accountability. That's what we want.
2024.
I'm gonna do it today.
Wow.
And then the Umbrellas I also do.
Yeah.
And then it'll go back to you.
Great.
And then RJ, and then I have it set
Lovely. Thank you. I was nervous as I was setting up that it was going to be me, but I also feel like I could get a summary down pretty quickly for this one. It's not too difficult.
Yeah, this movie lives in our bones as millennials.
It does. Yeah.
There's something. It's very that do not tell me the tale. I was there when the prophecy was foretold. Okay.
All right.
So,
Adam, this is your 1-minute summary of the 2024 Mean Girls. Your time starts now.
Katie Heron, a new student to North Shore High School who was previously homeschooled by her mom in Africa, is thrust into a hierarchical society of cliques that she has to learn how to navigate. She befriends Janice and Damien, a pair on the fringes of the in crowd due to being quote-unquote weird. They warn her about the Plastics, a group of pretty popular girls who are fake and vindictive. The Plastics are made up of Regina, Gretchen, and Karen, who adopt Katie into their group. Janice persuades Katie to join them to spy on what goes on in their inner circle. Katie develops a crush on Aaron, Regina's ex, but at the Halloween party, Regina rekindles their own flame in front of Katie, even with the knowledge of Katie's crush. Katie swears to take revenge and slowly over time uses multiple tactics to ruin Regina's life and get Aaron, but in the process ends up becoming the exact thing that she despised, which causes a rift in her and Janice and Damien's friendship. The Plastics Burn book, a book the girls use to gossip about the other girls at the school, is planted by Regina in the school for the public to find after she has painted herself as another victim in its pages. The girls have an assembly where they must learn to trust each other, but afterward, Regina gets hit by a school bus. Katie takes accountability for her actions and sets everything right again after helping the mathletes win the state championship and getting kissed by Aaron at the spring fling dance.
Wow. Apt.
Mm-hmm. I would only take issue with, I think you said Janice and Damien are on the fringes of the in crowd. I think they're on the fringes of the whole school. Like it's not like they're a little bit popular. They're like completely, they're like the lowest part of the totem pole in terms of social capital. Yeah.
Yeah. I weirdly I didn't know how to describe their clique because they're not.
It's almost like you want to call them loners, but obviously they have each other. So they're not loners, but it's that kind of thing. And I think they call themselves the art freaks is like what they refer to themselves as. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Art's gross.
Art's gross. There's some other plotty stuff, but that's the
We can also add, by the way, that Katie specifically moves there from Kenya. And that was one change I was thrilled by because as far as I know, from what I have seen of the stage show, they kept it to just Africa still. And I was like, y'all, I think we've advanced enough as a society that we could name a country in Africa. It doesn't just have to be Africa. Because you know what? Say,
yeah. I listened to the musical today, the stage version, for the first time. It is Kenya. She does say Kenya in the stage version.
I think there's maybe some music where they just say Africa. And that's fine if you also refer to it as Africa or whatever. But I think that's one part that's pretty problematically back at the original.
Well, I constantly, when I introduce myself to people, I say, I'm from the Americas.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
That's a big
I'm
way
from
that
North America.
Yeah. I'm North American. I do that to some extent so that people think I'm from Canada and may have a slightly
there are times when that's to our benefit for sure.
Yeah, it's a privilege.
Oh, and with my accent, people would definitely believe I'm Canadian.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Okay, so I'll go first. I weirdly have no relationship to this musical. Obviously, I think we're all gonna be pretty similar in that we know the movie extremely well.
A real 180 from Color Purple where none of us had seen the original movie.
However, I'm assuming that none of us rewatched the original film for this in the way we all were like, we should have watched Legally Blonde, but we didn't. We're going to do that again. So I know the movie. I never saw or listened to the musical. I only heard that it was like fine and the music wasn't great. That was like the big consensus that I got from it. So I was like, okay, it's not for me. And I saw the Tony's performance, but I was like not impressed really.
Yeah, that was me too. I had just seen the Tony's performance. This was the same year that I believe Band's Visit won for Best New Musical because it was up against Mean Girls and SpongeBob.
Yes.
And so it was the big year of like IP.
Will art win?
But it's like the Band's Visit technically is still an adaptation from a movie to a musical. So it's like, does it matter?
Isn't it wild that SpongeBob is now most famous for that guy cheating on his wife with Ariana Grande?
Absolutely.
Who knew that was going to be the legacy?
She was like,
do you know what? Honestly, she ate.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Did. Of course
I loved
she did.
it. I loved her being like, I don't care.
I don't care, girl. It's his marriage, not mine.
I mean, it was also her marriage, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They were both in marriages.
Yeah, and so I just knew that kind of like notoriety in that year that was the big Broadway conversation was like, is there no original music anymore? Is there no original ideas for Broadway anymore? And it's just like, who cares? I don't know. Only a certain people can afford Broadway, so it's like,
and the problem of people want to go see a familiar title where they feel sure that they're going to like it, I feel like has been maybe it's worse now, but like I feel like it's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
I care. I want there to be new musicals, but I also don't think we should like freak out every year necessarily. Like, got to look at a longer span of time before we panic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Molly.
So I, funnily enough, have seen multiple junior versions of this musical.
Oh, wow.
So at my old job, this was like so fun. We did a cabaret version. So it was like a teen camp and they got to come and they just learned some of the songs from it. And then they made up the little interstitials that went between it. So it was like themed around high school, but not the story of Mean Girls necessarily. It was actually one of my favorite things we did that summer because they did such a beautiful mix of like funny little skits and then also like really genuine sharing about their experiences as teenagers. So it's a really, really great show. And then also the camp I work at now, the theater camps did a junior version as well for the like, I think like middle schoolish age one. So it was like Mean Girls Junior. So it's all, edited and take out some of the language, stuff like that. So I haven't ever seen the real show on stage, but I've seen multiple kids performing parts of it. And then my only other knowledge of it was a Sarah Zed video, which I'm going to link in the show notes, where she talks about basically why she thinks it's not good and that it's a worse version of Heathers the musical. So my impression of Mean Girls is always just, it'd be better to go watch Heathers.
Yeah.
Well, I think I didn't really look up the cultural conversation around Mean Girls in 2004, the original film, when it came out. But I remember people being, or I at least know to some extent that people were like, oh, it's the next generation's Heathers, like just the movie itself.
And this Sarah Zed's criticism was of comparing the two musicals. She wasn't really talking about the films. Yeah. I think that personally, I enjoy the movie Mean Girls more than I like the movie Heathers. And I think that might just be a generation. Like if I had been in high school when Heathers came out. We were in middle school when Mean Girls came out?
2004. So yeah.
If I had been that same age when Heathers came out, that would be the one that would be in my brain as like the movie, right? But I do think that the music in the musical Heathers is better than the music in Mean Girls.
Yeah. And it's weird. It's funny because the musicals came out around the same time. Like they kind of got developed in tandem almost.
And
I felt like.
I think it's Barrett Gilbert Weed or something. I think that's her name. I don't know. But the girl who was, what's the main character in Heathers? The non-Heather. The Winona Ryder.
Oh, Winona Ryder. Yeah.
So the girl who played Winona Ryder also played Janice in the original Broadway cast. So it was also pretty hard not to compare them because there was like even a famous actor in those two roles. Yeah.
Huh. Well, let's talk about some history.
Wait, did RJ share his relationship?
Yeah, I just tagged on the
tandem onto mine.
Okay.
So this is one of your classic musical based on a movie based on a musical based on a movie based on a book. So let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. Queen Bees and Wannabes, helping your daughter survive cliques, gossip, boyfriends, and other realities of adolescence is a 2002 book written by Rosalind Wiseman. Rosalind Wiseman, you may say to yourself, oh, this must be, a doctor, a studied academic, somebody who really understands what they're talking about. Nope, she's just a lady who was teaching black belt karate and then interviewing young girls that she was working with and decided to write a book about it.
Wow.
Which is fine. You're allowed to do that. Yeah. She has no daughters. She has 2 sons.
Interesting.
Which again, you can also write whatever you want. You don't have to whatever, blah, blah, blah. I just find it interesting.
I just read a New York Times article this week about her and the fact that she's doing a lot of workplace presentations now about these dynamics showing up in workplaces. And they did not mention at any point that she was not a trained psychologist or academic or anything.
She has a degree in political science.
Huh. Well,
here are her other works that she's written since Queen Bees and Wannabes. Okay. That was 2002. Next one, Queen Bee Moms and Kingpin Dads, dealing with the parents, teachers, coaches, and counselors who can make or break your child's future. She loves a long title. That's 2006. Owning Up Curriculum, empowering adolescents to confront social cruelty, bullying, and injustice in 2009.
This is so funny. They're all so earnest, I feel like. And then it becomes Mean Girls. 2010,
she writes Boys, Girls, and Other Hazardous Materials. 2013, she writes Masterminds and Wingmen, helping our boys cope with schoolyard power, locker room tests, girlfriends, and the new rules of boy world. 2013, The Guide, Managing Douchebags, Recruiting Wingmen, and Attracting Who You Want. 2020 Distance Learning Playbook for Parents, How to Support Your Child's Academic, Social, and Emotional and Social Learning in Any Setting. And in 2022, she wrote Courageous Discomfort, How to Have Brave, Life-Changing Conversations About Race and Racism. So I just think it's interesting because I didn't know. I think I may have remembered that weird fact that Mean Girls was technically based on a book,
like a how-to book,
but I always assumed it was like a Gossip Girl book where it was it's kind of the same plot.
Like a plot.
What was it, like the Legally Blonde movie where it was based on that book that's loosely about
her experience in
there.
Stanford or whatever.
Yeah,
but this feels because it's like a how-to,
it's like a self-help book.
Yeah, I think that's really cool that they took something that's so. I mean, the movie is so creative in making a story around it. You know, I think that's a fun way to. But you have fodder for your movie. Yeah,
I can feel that sentiment of it feels like the movie. Because of all of the parallels, obviously, to the animal, the animal hierarchies and everything, it feels like we are looking in, like we're like observing.
Yeah. I mean, it's very smart to make Katie a full outsider to the high school experience, even so far as to remove her from like what
American
media consumption
society
would be.
in general. Yeah.
Okay, Mean Girls, 2004. It's directed by Mark Waters. The screenplay was written by Tina Fey. It was produced by Lorne Michaels. It starred Lindsay Lohan as Katie. Rachel McAdams as Regina George, Tim Meadows as the principal, Anna Gasteyer as her mom, Lizzie Kaplan. Who is Lizzie Kaplan in it?
She's Janice.
Oh, right. Lizzie Kaplan is Janice. Amy Poehler is Regina's mom, and Tina Fey plays Mrs. Norbury, I think her name is.
That is so funny. In this billing, you don't have Amanda
Seyfried or
Lacey Chabert, who were like,
yeah.
And then what about the guy who plays Damien? Do we know his name?
Oh, yes.
In the original? No, I don't remember his name.
Justin something?
Cinematography, blah, blah, blah. I'm not really going to read all this, but came out in 2004. It's a Paramount Pictures film. Its budget was $18 million and its box office $130.1 million.
Yeah. Smash.
Isn't it nice to think about the old like mid-budget comedies? It's so charming and quaint to think
any
about.
Any mid-budget films at all would be great.
Any mid-budget would be great. A super bad, we really had a good run of these like, and also like us as millennials really clung on to them, like the Easy A's and the Mean Girls. Like,
so good.
So good.
Did you see this movie in theaters? We were in middle school, so maybe not.
I saw it as a DVD.
I think I saw it as a rental.
Yeah, I don't remember the first time I watched it because I would have been a little too young maybe to officially watch it. I don't know if I watched it, I might have watched it at a sleepover and not told my parents or something. Sorry, Rita. Because I feel like I watched it pretty soon. Yeah, happy recent birthday. Happy recent birthday. I feel like I watched it around when it came out, but I don't remember seeing it in the theater, and I don't think I would have been let in necessarily. Can you stop trying to hit on my mom? It's very weird.
But there is something about our, like, I feel like our group of youth, because it's like we watch it as middle school, so we're like, where we want to know so much about like what's happening next, right? And like that, like I want to know everything about high school.
I definitely saw it before I got to high school.
Yeah,
because I remember watching it in my childhood home, which we were still living in, but we moved my freshman year of high school.
Yeah, I remember watching it in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Oh
wow. So you were kind of having a Katie Heron experience of, is this what American high school is like? Yeah.
I came in and was like, I'm ready. Don't be a lesbian, You got
the one on lock? Okay.
Yeah.
And I also went to an all-boys high school. I also went to an all-boys school, so.
Wait, because Molly, did you go to an all-girls school?
I did.
So I'm the only person who had like a normal high school experience of the three of us?
Well, a little judgmental, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie for you, I mean, obviously it's so hyper realistic.
Yes.
Or not hyperbolic.
Yeah.
But is there, especially for you, Molly, does there still exist this kind of like,
were there cliques and hierarchies?
And hierarchies. That's interesting. My class kind of had like a divide of like, there was a kind of a half and half of like, there was like a half of the grade that cared about popularity and a half that just didn't. And I was in the half that just didn't care about it. I learned actually like 10 years after I graduated, I was hanging out with some friends from high school and they were telling me about a group that called themselves the Alphas that were like all the people who like
don't say that word to
cared
Adam.
about. Is this a K-pop thing?
It's a smut thing.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
actually,
it.
I do know what it refers to. I know about it. But apparently this is before anyone knew about that area of the internet. So they like had a list of like who was in the cool group or whatever. I literally didn't know about it. And I laughed so hard when they told me about it because I was like, there's nothing funnier than making a group to exclude people that I genuinely, no one even knows about. Like we so don't care at all. Yeah. So, and I think in my half of the class, it was much more, it was kind of cliquish in like people had their interests. People kind of sorted themselves a little bit by like, we did theater and this people did sports and whatever. But like my friends I still hang out with, we were all doing different activities. So there were groups because you just did stuff with people, but it was not cliquish. It was very porous in terms of who you could be friends with. So no, it was not like this really at all.
Yeah, that's how it felt for us too. It felt like there were big...
Yeah, at your all boys school. Yeah,
there weren't. It didn't feel like there was like oh, the lacrosse boys are so popular or whatever. It just felt like everyone had like big friend groups. Yeah. And so like there was like one friend group that may be the biggest, but like no one really cared because everyone, it was also very academically focused in the school too. So people were like, we don't really care because we have to fucking get a college.
Yeah.
So. Well, as the person who went to a co-ed public high school here, sorry that I'm a bit of like not the 1% in this group. I wouldn't say, obviously it's not reality, but there is, I think, because you have the mixing of the genders, there is like I know that your girl's school was like right by,
and we shared classes, school. And I think you did too, right?
Yeah,
Molly?
We had the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. I
and all of our dances, obviously.
Yeah.
Like our popular girls were in Palms, which is like what our cheerleaders were called, but it wasn't to this level or anything like that. But there were definitely like people who were really popular, but it was mostly like, now that I'm looking back on it, at least like the guy who was probably the most popular, who was Daniel, what was his last name? Daniel Smith, I think his last name was.
Sounds made up, but okay.
Oh, just a guy named John Smith. John Doe.
John Doe, the most popular man in school.
I think his name was Daniel Smith. He was like really nice. Like he was like really good at football.
Yeah.
And I think he ended up going to Notre Dame and playing for them, but he was also just like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember if the girls were nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of the like people who were popular were in sports, but then also were like in student council or whatever, and were like doing like mission trips or whatever. So like they were like
colonizing.
Yeah, they're colonizing. Absolutely. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like certainly
young colonizers.
Like the dynamic of like, here's the three girls that are at the top of the hierarchy of the school was like, that was not the situation.
No.
There was not
it wasn't like anyone
there was
who's
no
anyone,
Regina George.
You have to know this person.
Yeah,
but
that wasn't there. But
the fear of walking through, I will say the fear of walking through the cafeteria is a thing that I feel like even watching this movie, I was like, oh God. And like mostly I didn't eat in the cafeteria once like I was like cemented in the theater department. I would like go in because our cafeteria was like right behind the back of the theater. So I would go into the theater to eat lunch. But like anytime I would have to like go into the cafeteria, it was always like, God, it just feels like everyone is looking at you.
Yeah.
Huh.
For me.
Yeah. We did not have, we had a dining hall instead of a cafe. None of it was normal. Yeah.
Which
it
means
was just not
what?
this.
Just like
it had like a
wood tables
Chipotle?
and ceramic plates. There were no trays.
Jesus
I don't know.
God.
It was a smaller room, just like because it was a smaller school. It just like wasn't the like big cafeteria and sitting at the big tables and stuff was like not part of my.
How many were in your graduating class?
70.
Wow.
How many were in yours?
Like 200, 300 something.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, so
Mine
that was the
like
thing
400.
was like, yeah. So like even the people who I was like the least close with, I knew everybody in my class, right? So it was kind of hard to like
you on that
have
popular,
those same.
Were you on the popular list? Were you on that list?
No.
Oh.
You were not an alpha?
You weren't an alpha.
In retrospect, I guess I wasn't.
You must have been an omega.
I guess I was an omega. Oh my God.
Okay, so that was a fun jaunt back through our history.
Through our high school. Our history.
2017, Mean Girls on Broadway. Technically, it opens on Broadway in 2018. The tryout starts in DC in 2017. Okay. The music is by Jeff Richmond. And you may say, who's Jeff Richmond? And I would say, Tina Fey's husband.
Oh.
Lyrics are by Nell Benjamin, who did the lyrics for Legally Blonde, the musical. And the book was written by Tina Fey. It was nominated for 12 Tony Awards. Best Musical, Best Actress in a Leading Role, Best Actor in a Featured Role, Best Actress in a Featured Role, Best Book, Best Original Score, Best Scene Design, Costume Design, Sound Design, Direction, Choreography, Orchestrations, and it won none of them.
Wow.
But that's impressive that it was nominated for all that. And it was still popular. It ran until basically it went on hiatus once COVID hit, and I just don't think it ever reopened. I think they just officially announced its closure. I think it had 800 performances or something like that. Renee Rapp was the last Regina George on Broadway.
Okay.
And I have a feeling we're going to be talking a lot about Miss Renee Rapp.
I think we will.
I think we will.
In this episode.
I think we will.
Mean Girls. 2024, directed by Samantha, Jayne, and Arturo Perez Jr. It is their directorial debut in this feature.
And we got to see them talk about it a little bit since we were at the special viewing, early viewing. They had like little
Oh yeah,
reels in
little
the beginning.
interstitial things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I mostly saw Tina Fey in those, but maybe I saw the director.
And they kept showing the same loop of like the two numbers over and over again. Yeah.
Screenplay again by Tina Fey. It is produced by Lorne Michaels and Tina Fey. It stars Anjuri Rice as Katie Heron, Renee Rapp as Regina George, Ali Carvalho, who you may know as the voice of Moana, as Janice, not Ian. They changed her last.
It's like a Japanese,
like,
either Japanese or
Hawaiian.
Hawaiian.
Yeah.
And Christopher Briney as Aaron Samuels, who originally turned down the role because he was like, "Oh, I can't sing," and then they got rid of all the songs that he would have to sing for it, and he was like, "Well, I guess I'll do it." Cinematography is by Bill Kirstein. It is edited by Andrew Marcus. The music is by Jeff Richmond. The score. Production company, Broadway Video and Little Stranger. Distributed by Paramount Pictures. It was released on, I just said, January 12th, 2024. Its running time is 112 minutes. Budget is $36 million. And so far, as of today, $34.5 million in box office.
Oh, looking good.
Looking good.
Should we here talk about cameos or should we wait to talk about cameos later?
That's fine.
Okay. I loved a lot of the casting. They've put Ashley Park in as the French teacher, which is a brilliant move. Ashley Park played Gretchen Wieners in the original Broadway cast, and then now she's at Emily in Paris. And so putting her in as French teacher, amazing, love it.
Yes.
Busy Phillips as... love Busy Phillips. She can be in anything. And then she could be Renee Rapp's mom, right? Like there is something about their faces that absolutely go together.
They have that like really strong jaw.
Yeah.
I saw in a TikTok that she was originally approached to be also the replacement mom on Broadway because of how much she looks like her.
Oh my
God. COVID. So.
But here's my question. Where is Amy Poehler? Why is Amy Poehler not in this movie?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I looked it up. Amy Poehler is 52, which if we assume Regina is 17, means she could have had her at 35. So that's firstly not impossible. She could have just played that role again. But I was like, okay, maybe you want Mrs. George to have had her kid younger. Like that fits the character better, whatever. But like, we couldn't put her in as a teacher at the school. Like what the actual heck? We have Tina Fey back. We have Tim Meadows back as the same roles. Yeah. We have Lindsay Lohan appearing as the moderator of the math tournament, which is a brilliant idea. Where is Amy Poehler? I'm so mad that she's not in this movie.
I was not mad that Amy Poehler was not in this movie. Okay. I was actually more mad that Tim Meadows was in this because I don't think Tim Meadows is funny. To be really honest. I just think his comedy style is just not one that I like. I'll like chuckle at his stuff, but it's not good enough that I'm like, well, we gotta have Tim Meadows back. And now we gotta make him and Miss Norbury like married, which they do in this movie. And I was like, I don't know what
that added, but it was cute. Everyone went awe in my theater when it happened, when they revealed it. I mean, like, it's not that I loved Tim Meadows in the abstract. I just love him in this movie. Like it's so iconic how mad he gets when the girls start fighting with the burn book and everything. So like for that reason, I was happy. It was like anyone you want to bring back. This film is in a large part peddling in nostalgia. I'm happy for them to be there. Yeah. To me, Amy Poehler's performance as Mrs. George is like so iconic that I just needed her to be even just walking past somewhere. And like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are friends. I don't understand why she wouldn't give her a bit part in the movie. So that was my one complaint about.
Maybe they had a falling out.
Maybe they did.
Let's start the rumor here.
Oh my God.
Let's investigate.
Okay.
Other cameos. There's John Hamm as the gym teacher.
Yep.
Health teacher.
Yeah.
It was very funny. I thought there was another one. Maybe I'm wrong. It was good. Oh, what's her name? Plays the mom from The Office.
Jenna Fisher.
Jenna Fisher. Yeah.
That's not a cameo. That's just she's just
because she's not really connected to the original or anything like that. Right.
Yeah. So, okay. 14 songs were cut from the musical version to this film.
Yeah.
And this film has at least like 12 songs. So the fact that there are somewhere, it's crazy to me that 14 songs could have been cut. Now, I don't think they're all like original. I think some of them are reprises, stuff like that. But that is still wild to me because I guess the original show ran for 2.5 hours.
And that would be too long for a movie. I think some cuts were needed for sure. Absolutely. But I mean, this is going to get into the core of it. Are we ready to go to that?
The last thing I was going to say is that this was originally supposed to be a Paramount Plus release.
Whoa.
And then in September, they announced that they were going to release it theatrically after it had been positively tested.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be a very different type of...
And I think it was smart. And I also, there were some critics that I was reading that at least one was like, they think that Barbie's success led Paramount to be like, we should release this in theaters.
Yeah. The women like seeing movies, it turns out. Who knew we had disposable income these days?
Okay, Molly, take it away.
This movie is afraid of being a musical. This is my thesis. You see it most in the trailers. They will not reveal to you that it's a musical in the trailers.
And there were a lot of people online that tweeted or had said like we're confused, that they thought they were like, oh, it's a musical.
And it's weird too, because I feel like without knowing it's a musical, you kind of go like, why remake Mean Girls then? Right? You're like, what is the purpose of, but like it makes more sense when you understand that there's a musical version and they're putting that one on screen. I feel that the strongest parts of this movie are when they really lean into it being a musical. Specifically, Revenge Party was my favorite number in it, because they so thoroughly transported us to a different realm for that number, right? They transformed the environment and the costumes and everything. And I think that the songs where they choose to kind of keep them basically in the school and just have them sing in that world were the weaker songs. And I think that if they had embraced the musical part a little bit more, the movie would have... I enjoyed the experience of the movie. I liked watching it. But I think it could have been a lot better if we like really committed to the musical part of it.
Yeah.
RJ?
I agree to some extent, but I think what they did with the musical numbers to me were good enough. I think they could have all done more, but I liked that they took each song individually and applied like a quote unquote concept to each one and how they're presented, very specific to that song that really like highlights it as a number. I have like 2 exceptions to that I felt like were not good. But for the most part, like I also liked Revenge Party, but I really like the Halloween song. And that one we talked about on the way back home of it using social media, right? Like it has the different TikTok videos, the TikTok lenses, even the challenge, even the song with within Revenge Party, like the Regina, like all the Regina parts of it. I thought were really effective in how it used kind of like that social media lens. But I thought I didn't come out like humming the songs. I don't think the songs are that strong and memorable.
That's fair. It might be the music itself more than the adaptation of it. Yeah.
But I do think they adapted the songs well, that I remember the numbers and like what they do, the changes in the visuals, the changes in the color, and the like they take some cinematic kind of creativity. Even in the song where she takes Aaron back in the Halloween Party. Oh, like I thought it was very effective.
But even that was another one.
Even in the Apex Predator too, a little bit. But
Apex Predator was fun. Yeah, they kept it in the world of school, but then the choreography of being the animals was really fun. But I think you're listing to me also the ones that were the most like removing it, because then the party song is like it's a music video, like it's
right, totally.
It's again removing it from the reality of the high school.
But I do agree. I think the moments where they lean in on that, like this is a musical moment, this is not part of reality, it's really strong and really effective. That's what kept me.
The only song, Molly, that I can think of that you were talking about, that the only song I can think of is the Stupid with Love.
That's the one that I'm most thinking of. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want me to, since we've talked about Revenge Party, do you want me to play a little bit of it, or do we want to wait a little bit? It's up to you.
Strong. I think we can do that.
We
can start with Revenge Party.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll bring the glow sticks.
I'll bring balloons and we'll have chocolate ice cream cones.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'll be the DJ spinning the tunes on a turntable made of a bone.
We'll get a piñata, cause that would be fun, and play dress up in Barbies and tag. And And we'll roll on the grass and stare up at the sun. Then we'll stuff our remains in a bag
and throw them in the river.
A revenge party, a party that ends with entrails all over the lawn. A revenge party with your two best friends.
I want to know how, I believe it's Ali'i. I watched an interview with her explaining Ali'i. How can she be a Disney princess and also have such a perfect voice for Janice?
I know.
How does she have the vocal range of like every song she sang? I was just eating up her voice. I just wanted it to rush all over me. Like it was so good. She is such a strong vocal performer. Put her in every musical.
I think apart from Aaron Samuels, I think casting popped off so hard with this movie.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I could not. Renee Rapp will get an entire hour.
Yeah,
Renee Rapp
she'll
is
have
getting her own
section.
hour.
We're
Yeah.
putting a pin in Renee Rapp.
Avantika is who plays Karen, and she is a revelation.
Amazing.
I couldn't. And so then I went to her Wikipedia and I was like, "What the fuck is her back? Like, who is she?
Where is
Who
she?
is
Yeah.
this girl? So
Who's
she's
this Annie?
who is this Annie? We got it. We got Avantika.
Is it Avantika, not Avantika?
Oh, it might be. I didn't look it up to see the pronunciation. But she's originally she's born in India. She immigrated to, I think, San Francisco when she was younger. She's like primarily a dancer. I thought her songs were so great, but
So
more than
good.
that, her comedy was so on point.
It was so
and I'm going to
good.
be so honest. Dancers, while they are like physical beings, do not typically have like that inner beat of a comedy beat.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anytime she did anything, I was like screaming laughing. She is so funny in this movie. And then the guy who plays Damien, I also
So
was like,
good.
Yes.
just fully like
On
that
the
he
pulse.
is Damien,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yes.
the same character, but
Yes.
it's like a completely fresh
So
take.
true
Yeah.
that it was so. Yes, he never felt like he was recreating
No.
the original Damien, but it was so lived in the same realm of that character. Like, yes, the strongest part, those two were my standout performers.
Mhm.
They were the best part of the movie. And I think the strongest part of the movie were the new jokes in it.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
worried that it would be all just homages to the old jokes.
Right,
and
right.
they made sure to sprinkle in the lines that we all expected and everything. But
Mhm.
like, there were many times where I laughed out loud.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good updating of like
Yeah.
the sentiment of the comedy into what's like funny and relevant now. That I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just so that's what I want to say about casting.
Yeah.
Okay, we wanted to talk
I mean,
about
listening to a little bit of the Top of the Revenge Party. I mean, like it's really not the lyrics, or it's really not but they sound great. What they do with this song when it kind of goes in the back and forth, like the conceit of like it being like a huge party in the halls of the school, but then woven in like the pranks that they were doing to Regina, the turning on the sprinklers on her, and then it becomes like a trend in school. I thought was so funny, and that they made like a filter on TikTok to give you the wet look.
Yeah.
Like it's just so funny. And then when they decide to when they do a None for Gretchen Wiener's Bye, like it was so musical in a way, right? Like
yeah.
it felt like it kept that same drama, but they plussed it because it was like this almost operatic number, because there was like a chorus in the background. You knew the line was coming. It was just, I thought it was so good.
That also has the sequence in which they do the you go Glen Coco, and like they make it like a choral like little bit,
Yeah.
and that's really funny. Like there are, like we were saying, like there is definitely like the lines from the original that they're just repeating, but I still even felt that all of the performers, I think, did a really good job yes, maybe it is because they are aware of the original, so they're trying to operate in opposite of what it is.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like it was like an untrue version of how they would say these lines. Like the only
yeah.
or they did like the line in such a way that I was like, oh, it's like a fresh
We're not
version.
that Mean Girls. It didn't feel like New Annie, where it was like, oh, we hate
Annie.
we hate Mean
Yeah.
Girls.
I thought the only joke that I was like shocked. So they obviously do the fetch joke. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. Which is one of the greatest lines in cinematic history. And then they just do the line again. And it's pretty much beat for beat how it happened in the original. And I was like, oh, I feel like this movie has tried to some degree to like vary at least how it's like the sequence in which it's in or something. Like it's not trying to do, but that one, it was like one for one. And I was like, oh, interesting. I just felt like they didn't try that hard, but maybe it's just such an iconic line. They felt like they couldn't, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end,
They repeat the joke with the mathletes.
have their own version of it that he like says where he's trying to make squill happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, that's so funny because the idea of like all these like insular groups, right? The plastics are just running the school, but like all these stupid groups have these stupid things that they're all like, they're all in their own little universes. That's so funny to me.
Yeah.
Also making it like the guys too have its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also with the fetch thing that then the first time she references it, Regina says like, where did you get that or something? And then she says it's from an old movie and she says like, I think Juno or something. I didn't love that, honestly.
No, I didn't either.
But
I mostly didn't love it because I didn't like hearing that.
I didn't like
the
hearing
movie that I grew up with is an old movie. I'm going to be really honest.
It was a little too meta for my taste personally, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's listen to a bit of Stupid with Love, which is the song that Katie sings as she realizes that she's developing a crush for Aaron Samuels, who sits in front of her in calculus class. Okay. Yeah. The whole bit of Katie's character is that she's super smart. And then
the only way she can talk to Aaron.
The course of the movie, she thinks the only way she can talk to him is that if she appears dumb.
Yeah.
She like dumps herself down for a man, which is like the point. Anyway, feminism. Okay. And did anyone need me to cover Second Wave? Do we need any kind
you
of...
covered it so thoroughly in the past. Yeah.
Okay, just to make sure. Okay.
When I was 9, I fell in love with this Peace Corps guy. I waited hours inside his tent with flowers, which made him laugh, which made me cry. By 13 I gave up trying, I decided I would be a mathematician. 'Cause math is real. I memorized a lot of pi because addition and subtraction and division would never make me feel so stupid with love. I didn't get it somehow. Smart with math but stupid with love. I didn't get it till now.
Now I'm going to play a little bit of the original Broadway version.
Okay.
Just to hear, there is some
Different
rearrangement that goes on.
When I was 10, in love again, this Peace Corps guy. I waited hours inside his tent with flowers, which made him laugh, which made me cry. By 13 I gave up trying, I decided I would be a mathematician. 'Cause math is real. I memorized a lot of pi because addition and subtraction and division would never make me feel so stupid with love. Like I didn't get it. I didn't get it somehow. Smart with math, but stupid with love.
Okay. Okay. Let's take a poll. I want to take a poll.
Okay. What are you gonna pull us about?
I saw there is a TikTok that I don't know if it's how do we
Noodle bib TikToks?
Well, no, how do we adequately figure out how much something needs to go viral before it's viral? But there is a TikTok going around and the girl is like going back and forth between the two versions, and it's supposed to be like, look how fun the Broadway version is and look how like kind of somber and monotone the movie version is. I think now, if I had been, I think as I was going through all these YouTube videos and I was trying to find these clips, most of the comments, obviously the soundtrack came out before the movie came out. A lot of the comments are like, they really changed the tone. Like everything is so different. I feel like it fits within the movie that they have created, the sound that they have done. And then when I was like, well, let me listen to what the original sounded like. And I heard that like, we'll say African inspired beat. We'll say that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm really okay with them not going in that direction for this. It felt, you know what it felt like? I was like, oh, it's like kind of doing a like Book of Mormon African thing and like peddling in that kind of energy. But I don't think it's
paying off at all. You don't need it.
And I definitely, in this movie, they could have gotten it to work somehow, but like, I think this is a lot smarter.
Well, okay. Let's talk about the relationship of this piece of text, and we'll talk about all the adaptations to Africa.
Yes.
The thing is that the function of Katie being from Africa is meant to be that she is outside of society and she's learning about girl world for the first time.
Yes.
Because she's been living outside of that.
Yeah.
But that paints Africa as a place without culture, which is not true. And so what's uncomfortable about it is that the drums reference that people live in Africa and make things like music and have societies and cultures. So like you have to lean into the part that's she grew up on the savannah.
She grew up watching animals all her life.
Observing animals. She could have been anywhere that has a big wildlife. She could have lived watching penguins in Antarctica, right? She could have lived in SeaWorld. Like literally, that's what's important.
That's it. Yeah.
She lived at the Bloomingdale Zoo. Is where she lives. Yeah.
So it gets confusing the more you lean into like Africa as a cultural place. It gets very confusing of like, wait, what are you saying about like I'm an outsider to human beings interacting, but I did know a bunch of human beings when I lived in Africa.
Yes, but
that's what's confusing about it. Yeah,
I think also what I like about and I haven't seen the show, so I can't speak to like the full text of the character in terms of like the musical.
Visually on stage.
The way she sounds, at least the way her songs are structured, and the way she's kind of like a beltress, it appears to be in the show. I kind of like that in the movie. Her songs reflect how shy she is.
Yes.
Because I think there is an introversion that Katie has.
Katie is so shy. I mean, even more than like the Lindsay Lohan character.
So much shyer than Lindsay Lohan's.
Like it's almost...
Lohan, sorry.
Lindsay Lohan. Yes. It's almost like... It really works for the character and how she could be easily swayed from one direction to the other, from Janice to Regina.
And I think it's good because we have such great vocal powerhouses too, that having a sweeter voice in the soundtrack is also nice. And I like the arrangement underneath.
I do too. It reminds me of like...
I do too, until I saw someone was like, what is with the Glee doo-doos in the background? And I was like, oh no, now I hear the Glee.
Well, but they do have they have a little chorus. That was my favorite part of it.
I like that the chorus was like not real, right? She like sees these girls that are like looking at her, but in her head, in her adaptation, it's like they're singing along with her.
Honestly, I think that what bores me is just the costuming. It's just when you have to stay in like contemporary American high school clothes, it's like so boring to look at. Yeah.
Well then, Molly, you're gonna love a Letterboxd review that I have later.
Ooh,
okay.
It kind of gave me like Regina Spektor music too, like that kind of like doon doon. Like it's very cute, which kind of describes. I mean, I listened only to Regina Spektor in high school, so it reminds me of that like awkward kind of first feelings.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that what I don't like about the song is the lyrics too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's giving me square root of impossible or whatever that was.
I learned pi and addition and subtraction.
Someone please write a musical and consult an actual mathematician to put some actually clever lyrics about math into your musical.
Or just don't.
Math can be cool.
Can be a musical. Yes.
Frozen fractals all around. Absolutely. We can throw it in there. But like, it's gotta be. Give me some references to actual math.
Yeah. A little bit goes a long way. I think also with this song, the biggest thing that Adam and I had was the voices match the music that they're portraying in the movie. I think sometimes we have a problem with contemporary musicals, and Adam had a revelation in the car. I was like, I think it's because in contemporary musicals, you hear musical theater beltresses try to sing contemporary sounds, but in this movie, contemporary voices fit the music they're trying to sing.
Renee Rapp. I'm gonna play one more song.
Okay.
I'm going to do... So the new song for this movie is What Ifs, which is her Katie's first song from where we go from she's in Africa and then we go into
the
school.
Like the big swooping like one take almost. Not a full one take.
No, yes. Correct. So but also the whole film uses that technique, and I was going to talk about that later.
Okay.
But so first, I'm actually going to play It Roars. Which is what they cut from the Broadway version, and then we'll play What Ifs.
I'm 16, living in paradise with the lions and birds and stuff. But I'm 16, and it's not enough. fighting me.
Any thoughts on what you heard?
I think it's musical theater.
Yeah.
It's very musical theater.
Yep.
I'm going to now play What Ifs, which is from the film.
No, that's not a part of my plan. That's not the me that I am. This time there's no looking back. No looking back. I'm crossing things off my list. Don't wanna run out of time before I wake up and find there was a life that I missed. My limit doesn't exist.
And it's pop.
And it's pop. It's full pop. I think I don't like either of them.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to say something that I never in my life thought I was going to say about a female protagonist in a musical.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, it's gonna be
Can't wait to
problematic.
let's soundbite this, girlies.
I don't think she should have an I Want song because she doesn't want anything at the beginning of. She is a character who can want things, but she is not in what we understand Mean Girls to be.
She doesn't have a When Will My Life Begin. It doesn't feel like she's like, I'm yearning.
Yeah.
She has a want, but it's immediately fulfilled. It's an I Want song as the want is being fulfilled. It is not setting up the want that will drive the plot. It's setting up why I'm moving now.
She
and you move.
Her want that is the plot of the film is she wants to be with Aaron.
Yeah.
But they also in our Cinderella in Jeff Bezos' Cinderella saved feminism world that we live in.
Yeah.
She needs to have more than
her song can't be I want to get with a guy.
I think that's silly. Let's talk actually about
Shut up, Adam.
No. I agree that that's probably a thought that was driving these decisions. And I think people are sometimes motivated by romantic love, and that can be part of it. There are many girls in this, and not all of them are motivated by that. So one of them can be. That's fine. And two, I think this is the other thing we should talk about in terms of this is an adaptation and is like a new movie.
Yeah.
Is the idea of being mean, I think, has become a lot more complicated because we now live in a time where we have really embraced that women are not always mean to each other. That's lovely. Look, I'm so for the way that in like the 2010s we pushed back on the like Mean Girl sort of portrayal of like women are always in competition with each other, always really catty with each other, because that has been my experience for the most part, is that women are not actually primarily catty with each other.
Women should be mean to men.
Women should be mean to men, and we have done a great job of turning it around on that.
Yes.
So congratulations.
But this is a movie about women being mean to each other, and I think it's a little bit afraid to be quite as biting as the original one was. I don't remember why comparing these two songs has gotten me onto this tangent, but I'm going with it now. So I think that there was, well, as I said, I laughed at a lot of the new jokes. I don't think there were any new insults that I laughed at, which was kind of, I feel like, a big part of the comedy of the original one was like the creativity of the insults. And like sometimes you just want to watch something with like people being truly mean to each other. So the point is, I think it's okay for Katie's want to be together with Aaron, because also the point is like the lesson is that she should not have let that drive her choices. Like she gets a comeuppance for the way that she pursues Aaron. I think that this is one reason why Heathers the Musical is better than Mean Girls the Musical, is because Heathers the Musical leans into like, this is dark and these people are horrible to each other. Now maybe that's easier to do when they're going to like literally murder each other. Like it goes to such an extreme that it's like clearly outside of reality. Right. But I think that they were a little afraid to make the Mean Girls fully mean.
I do think that the meanness, because it is complicated, to me, it was more in the like the side eyeing, the not like it's subtle, but it's like not direct. They're not like direct mean, like how Regina is mean to Gretchen. Like it's kind of like passive aggressive, like, oh my God, you're so stupid, like no, do this or whatever. It felt more like that. It felt more like easy and smooth because they were mostly coming from Regina.
It's hard. Okay, so somebody probably should have watched Mean Girls. Anyway, from what
I also know that the original movie does not hold up. Like there are a lot of insults that are not like,
like the things that they're attacking
PC
people
anymore
for
now.
would not be allowed. Yes, sure.
Yeah.
I from what I remember of the original movie, it is really like Regina's the mean one.
Yeah.
And
The other
Gretchen and Karen are lackeys.
Yeah.
And I think that same sentiment holds true here.
Yeah.
And I think that I think this Regina is very mean.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's like, when she's mean, it's like, it's like, oh.
It's the brushing Aaron's hair in front of Katie, you know,
yeah.
like that.
Well, and I know we're gonna get into Renee Rapp, but like what I love about her performance is the way that the really mean comments come really unexpectedly.
Yes.
And that's what makes you so afraid of her, is that she mostly seems pretty nice and normal. She does there's some tense, she seems chill. Sometimes there's the tense, she does the like, oh, you agree, you think you're really pretty, where it's like she's saying it in a nice way, but she's setting you up to fail. But when she like snaps at them, you're not expecting it. And that I do think makes her terrifying. So I think that's a really good choice.
I think it's more...
Are the mean girls mean girls? Is the name of our discourse.
I think in both, I feel like the meanness is like, in order to survive, you're expected to be mean. Like you have to be mean in order to get through. And I think that is, I don't even know what
in the first one, or
I think in both. I feel like I also read other critics' reviews, and there were a few that were like, it's not as biting as the original. And I just can't tell if it's like, because we know what it is, that's why we're like, oh, it's not as biting. Because I feel like a lot of the lines are exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I did feel like Renee was really mean.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I didn't know if they were going to do like, she gets fat with the bars. I was like, oh, I don't think they're going to do that, because that doesn't hold up well at all. But they do. And also, like, she's so hot when she like, Renee Rapp is so hot. I might be bi. I don't know what's going on, honestly.
But Renee Rapp is also like a bigger girl than Rachel McAdams was. And I know she's talked about people asking her about like being, I think even like a plus size woman playing it or something like that I like wouldn't even really describe her that way. No. But I think it's cool that we have someone who's like actually curvy in the role, where it does reflect that like times are different now. Like I doubt that you have to be a size 0 to be the most popular girl in school. Now I think that's probably genuinely shifted. And yeah, she is so hot. But then I do think it makes it weird with the gaining weight stuff of like, well, it doesn't seem like she's trading on just being thin as like her primary way of being attractive and popular either. So it's like, it does like fit in a weird way with like the reality of the movie. But they go for it. They make that a big part of the plot.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I guess like the Burn Book doesn't hit the same way. That was the big thing, is the Burn Book I feel like wasn't as mean as the original.
I think that's where I was hoping for some new fun insults, and it felt like nothing
was
felt
the same,
new or creative, or like, oh, that's a very funny way of, because I think about 30 Rock, which was Tina Fey's other big thing that she did, and I feel like one thing in that show was like the creativity of the insults that people would launch at each other, and I think they were afraid to like really get into that. I also do want to talk about with the Burn Book and what RJ was saying before about social media. It was not an Annie 2014 situation, but I did feel a little bit of the movie's anxiety about social media and having to justify stuff. And the fact that they were like, oh, we made this Burn Book that week when our phones got taken away, because they were like, we have to explain why teenagers wrote something down on paper. There's simply no, and I was like, girl, you can just have a Burn Book. Like, it's fine. People still know about paper. It's not, I'm around kids.
Stationary stores still exist.
Yeah. I'm around children a lot. They know about paper and they use it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to be quite so worried about like, well, they're not on their phone and we have to justify that in every way.
Because I do know that Tina in an interview asked like her daughters, like, should the Burn Book be like a blog? Should the Burn Book be like a Twitter account? And her daughter's like, no, it's that's it. We know the Burn Book. Do the Burn Book.
It's iconic. And obviously, like, the point is that it's secret until Regina chooses to not make it secret. So I think it totally works to have it be a book. I don't think you need to justify it. Yeah. And
I'm so glad they didn't make it a blog. I would have been so mad if the Burn blog.
The Burn blog.
Bye.
Gross.
Bye.
I did like the way that they used it. Like, I liked the social media thing, especially when they were like spreading the rumors about Katie pushing Regina in front of the bus. I thought that really worked in terms of seeing it spiral out of control.
And then the turn into like, she did it, or then like, now we're saving Regina, or like Regina deserves better.
Yes. And I did like it too with spreading the Burn Book. details, I think it worked too to have it there. I mean, it worked as a way of like shortcutting a scene that would have just been people whispering to each other in a different version of it, right? That was the best use of the TikTok social media stuff.
It's funny because I walked out of this movie and I said to RJ, I was like, this movie handled like social media so much better than Dear Evan Hansen did. Dear Evan Hansen had no idea what the fuck it was doing with social media, even though that whole show is basically predicated on him becoming like a viral sensation. So it's weird that that movie had we've already talked about that.
We've said a lot of bad things about that movie.
But I thought this one, I felt like it really did feel like it was a 2024 film and it wasn't sneering at being like, ugh, and then we have to put in like social media aspects.
This is a way of judging teens because they use social media.
Yeah.
It was like there were a couple awkward moments, but for the most part, I think they used it really well. Yeah.
I really liked when they turn the water on when she like wins homecoming queen or whatever,
the challenge,
and then they make it the filter. I thought was so funny because that would happen.
I mean, this is actually the funny part about us commenting on this is we don't really know because we didn't have this kind of technology when we were in high school. So I actually don't know what it's like in terms of interacting with popular people now and having a phone and whatever. Like, I think I got a Facebook like my junior year of high school or something like that. Like, it was a very new thing. We didn't have filters and stuff. So I really don't know, but it felt authentic from what I know of social media as an adult.
Sometimes some of them will sneak into like very specific like drama in like this one school will sneak into my For You on my TikTok. And it is very much like what they showed. It's like blah, blah, blah from my school did this and that. Or like while you're doing makeup and they're just talking about their day. And
there was the one that went viral like a couple months ago of the girl who was like, my boyfriend lent another girl his hoodie. And then she was like doing photo shoots in it, and that was like a whole. It was a whole.
Well, he messed
cycle.
up there. He should not have done that.
It's bad news bears. So it's good to know that like drama is still happening in high school.
It's good to know that teens are still mean to each other. It's an important part of the human experience.
It's character building, absolutely.
Yeah, I fully come around on the other side.
We're pro-bullying on this podcast.
We're boomers. Okay. Should we talk about her?
Okay, we can't. I think that this discussion will lead into Renee Rapp, the human being, anyway, because I think the other big change we have to talk about as a gay podcast is making Janice an actual lesbian.
Yeah,
this is probably the most important thing that they did. Not Lebanese.
Not Lebanese. Not a thing to be teased by. And then like the big reveal. Well, okay. So what I need to know what you thought about Janice in this adaptation.
So I think it was really, really smart to make her actually gay. I think that the thing that to me perhaps has aged the least well from the original Mean Girls is the fact that the movie, and I don't think this was Tina Fey's intention. I think if you had asked her at the time if this was what she was trying to say, she would have said, no, I'm not trying to say that. Is basically like the reason that Regina's in the wrong for calling Janice a lesbian is because Janice is not a lesbian. And it's fine to make some fun of someone for being a lesbian if they're a lesbian, but she's not one. Like that's a little bit how the movie comes across. And especially the fact that Lindsay Lohan's big line that shows she's become the mean girl, she says, it's not my fault. You're like in love with me. Right. So like the ultimate sin one can commit in the world of the original Mean Girls is to become so obsessed with other girls that you actually are attracted to them. Like that's the line that you cannot cross, and that is a problem, right?
And they change it here. Obsession
to you're so obsessed with me. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that it is a really, really smart idea to have her actually be gay, and basically the way they changed it is that Regina was like shitty around her coming out, not that she spread a rumor that she is a lesbian. I think that it's great that Janice has no shame about that fact, right? That's not part of what's happening. I think it's great. Just like Ali is just hot in this role and like is doing a great job for queer women in this. She is bisexual in real life.
So is Renee, I think.
And so is Renee.
Yeah.
So here's what I think is really interesting is, so you guys heard the song that they played over the credits, and have you listened to that song separately? It's Renee Rapp and Megan Thee Stallion.
I haven't listened to it, no.
Okay. So I recommend you do. So it's interesting is the song starts, at least the like recorded version, I think they didn't include this in the movie, with the Lindsay Lohan line of like, it's not my fault. You're like in love with me. you're like in love with me or something. And the song is called It's Not My Fault. But the first line, it's not my fault. You came with her, but she might leave with me. So it's like Renee Rapp. A lot of it is her stunning on like, I'm so hot, your girlfriend's going to leave you for me, basically. So they have taken this line that I think is really problematic and like reclaimed it and had Renee Rapp be like,
it's her power. I mean, it's her
power
in the girl world.
That girls are going to fall in love with me. And I think that that's really brilliant. I think it still lives in a little bit of an uncomfortable place because we all know what it's referring to. But like, I think they kind of did everything they could to like turn around that problematic element of the original movie.
I agree. I think the only thing that I had a little bit of a like bumped me out a little bit with the Janice character was because she is a lesbian and like very clear. It's not easily caught on like the obsession part of it, because when she finally sings I'd Rather Be Me, it feels like, well, yeah, this isn't a surprise. You start the movie already this character that like I'm gonna flip off everyone. I'd rather be myself. So it didn't feel like
I kind of disagree. I think because she's the one that convinces Katie to make friends with plastics to begin with. She pushes her in Revenge Party. Like, I do think we see Janice really choose to like play with Katie in a way. Like, actually, I think Janice gets like a little bit not enough of a comeuppance, to be honest. Like, I think she kind of foments a lot of this. And then at the end, she's like, I'm above all of this. And I was like, well, Janice, you made mistakes too. Like, let's not kind of exempt ourselves. Katie is worse. Katie fell more into it. But like, because both Janice and Damien successfully have the moment of like, oh, we've accomplished the thing we tried to accomplish. And like, now let's go do something else. But I think that the obsession is still there for sure, at least. But it's maybe where it falls flat with what you're saying, RJ, is the moment where she's like, now we're ready to move on, and so then it does feel like the song isn't hitting at the moment that it should hit in terms of her character arc of like, I've let go of my recession with Regina.
Maybe that is it. I think because I mean, going into that gym scene, right? Like they're all mad at Katie, and we're all following Katie's story of that, like she's gone off the deep end and has to like earn the trust again. But yeah, I think that like her Janice realizing that like the obsession can end now because I've gotten what I've needed. Maybe like that. Maybe it's the comeuppance that I needed. It just felt like I didn't feel this. It felt like the right place for that song. Yeah, because I think like. So we all know she gets hit by a school bus at the end of this. Regina. There's even like a fake out in the beginning that Katie almost gets hit by a bus. Yeah. So it's like they're building up to the fact that like you're going to see this iconic scene again. So I did kind of feel like it was undercut by the fact that it was like Janice's song of like, I'd rather be me while this fight is happening. But I was like, but you made it such a big deal that this moment is going to happen that I almost was like, is it like a Revenge Party reprise maybe of like when we get this, because it's like kind of sealing the deal of like the ultimate revenge, and is this really what they wanted? I don't know, it just felt like it was not in the right spot, and I felt because Ali did such a great job, it felt like I needed just like one or two scenes more that kind of show her completing her arc in that way in order to sing this song maybe.
I want to play a little bit of the both versions, so I'm going to do the movie first.
Always understand how to slap someone down with our underhand. So here's my right finger to how girls should behave. 'Cause sometimes what's meant to break you makes you brave. So I will not act all innocent, I won't fake apologize. Let's just fight and then make up, not tell these lies. Let's call our damage even, clean the slate till it's like new. It's a new life for me, where I'd rather be me. I'd rather be me than be with you.
And then here is the musical version.
With our underhand, so here's my right finger to how girls should behave. 'Cause sometimes what's meant to break you makes you brave. So I will not act all innocent, I won't fake apologize. Let's just fight and then make up, not tell these lies. Let's call our damage even, clean the slate till it's like new. It's a new life for me, where I'd rather be me. I'd rather be me than be.
I think mean, I think that it's interesting that her song is about, it's not about being nicer, it's about being more upfront about your anger. And I know that that's, like I said, I read this article this week about the woman who wrote Queen Bees and Wannabes. And it sounds like a lot of the work she does now with workplace stuff is about teaching women, like, why have you been taught to suppress your anger so much and then express it in these really passive aggressive ways. And it's also interesting that I think they took out the line right where Tina Fey in the original says, like, we have to stop calling each other bitches and whores because it gives guys permission to call us that or whatever. Like, they took out that element of it. Because I think that the movie is now, this is an interesting thing again about, like, I feel like they didn't lean quite hard enough into the insults. It's like, is the movie about being nicer to each other or is it about being more upfront with conflict? And I think it's not totally sure of that. I think that the vocal performance is great. I really enjoyed the energy of the song. I was always happy when Ali was on screen, but I think it's a little bit confused. Yeah, because then the final song is like we can all shine and we're all beautiful, like, kind of let's be nice. Stars. Like, it's such a saccharine kind of ending message. And this song fits in an interesting place with that, I think.
It's interesting because I think, so Katie's journey, I don't think is be nicer. Katie's journey is just be yourself. That's, I think, don't be plastic.
And don't sacrifice all these things in pursuit of a boy.
Right.
Also,
but again, that's like, those are just more examples of her, like, choosing to go against being who she already is, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But the show, but like, because I don't know if the show, I don't know if the movie, I don't know if blah, blah, blah. What is the takeaway the audience is supposed to have? Because I don't think the audience's takeaway is supposed to be yourself. Is it?
Maybe. I guess that's always a fine message. But also, if you're over the age of, like, 20, I feel like you get it. Like,
yeah.
But also,
that's a good message if you're in high school. But
then what is the message at the assembly?
Yeah.
What are they trying to teach them? Other than, like, they do trust falls. It's like, and there's a little bit of, like, everyone's going through something.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
We're all people going through different things.
It is kind of, let's air the dirty laundry, because people are kind of saying, they, like, say pretty mean things, but then they're saying sorry for saying the mean thing. But it is a little bit like catharsis of, like, let's get it all out in the open. Yeah. Again, it's confusing of, like, is it that I should have said this to your face to begin with? Or is it that I should have worked on my mindset that made me think these very judgmental things about you? Yeah.
There was a joke of, like, one of the people doing the trust falls were two members of the band, and they were like, I'm sorry that I called you out for being early for being, like, offbeat in Revenge Party.
Oh yeah, that I did enjoy. That was a meta joke I liked. Yeah.
But also the drummer I was, like, very attracted to. I was like,
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Should we?
Speaking of being attracted to people in this movie, it's very interesting that the song during the credits is Renee Rapp and Megan Thee Stallion, because the entire time I was like,
two women I am fully attracted to.
She is giving, like, stallion energy. Like, she is towering over the school, and it's so.
Let's also say Megan Thee Stallion is also in some of the social media things, which I thought was a very funny joke. She was like,
she was like, this girl is great. And then, like, when it gets, like, messy, she's like, how do I get out of this algorithm?
Yes. The way that Renee Rapp commands
it's very interesting. It's
just
so interesting. We talked about the obsessiveness because her power really, it's almost as if when Janice came out to her when she was young and gave that doll, right? And then, like, she learns that, like, oh, I have a power over people like this. And she uses it to her advantage to, like, look how, even without saying, like, look how stupid she is, she just, like, wears it around and, like, makes a name for it, you know? That's kind of, like, how she discovers that she is able to have this. And she's right. Like, people are obsessed with her. And that's, like, why she maintains it. I don't know. It's the sapphic energy was so.
Oh my God,
heavy.
She is so sapphic in this movie. She's so tall,
way more than in the first movie.
She's
like, it doesn't feel sapphic at all in the first movie.
This is what I'm saying. Like, what your thoughts can be whatever they want to be about. Like, if this is good or better than the original, fine, whatever. I'm not here to have that conversation. I think that's very boring.
Okay.
This Regina George couldn't be more different than Rachel McAdams' Regina George. Like they are two fully different characters.
Yeah.
That Regina George is like, she's a Stanley Cup mom now, and she has
5
like a full
kids.
TikTok where she like puts her kids on screen in order for her to make content.
She's Autumn Girl. She is like the full
Christian Girl Autumn.
Christian Girl Autumn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
This is like the coolest, like she's so cool in addition to being popular. And the thing that I like couldn't get over for the first probably like act of the film is I was like, she is throwing away every single line. None of her lines matter. She just would toss them off like they were nothing. And I was like, that is the thing. RJ and I talk about this a lot when we talk about K-pop stuff, because something we like about K-pop is how earnest they are. They always are really like, we're going to try to do our best. We want to bring you better songs in the future, blah, 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 blah. And it is the exact opposite of like the Western market, who you want your like pop stars to fully just be like, I just like made this and it's whatever. It's fine. And like they like don't care about it. That's how cool they are. And she has that energy to such an insane degree. I was like, I want this woman on my vision board. Like I want to be her.
And that's the whole power of Regina George, that you want to be her.
Yes. So I'm going to play Meet the Plastics, which is when she comes in. So they did cut in the musical version.
Regina and Gretchen
and Karen have like intros, and they just fully cut those.
They just made it all
there's a lot
Regina.
of complaints on the whatever about
because I remember that from the Tony's performance. They do a good job of like describing, Gretchen is very frantic. She's just doing everything that she needs to do. Karen is dumb, but like it's such a great entrance for Regina. Like,
I can't.
And we'll listen to it. And I have.
My name is Regina George, and I am a massive deal. Hear me, love me, stand and stare at me, and these are real. I've got money and love. I am like drunk with
there's the scene at the end where after the song, and she like looks at Katie and like, hey, you come here. And it goes back and forth between the dreams, the visuals of the song versus reality.
Yeah.
And I like gasped when I saw it, because I was like, oh, like that's the impact, right? Like you don't know, am I in awe? Is this really just this person in this world, or is she not part of this world? Oh,
they're so
good.
Adam's so confused sexually
confused sexually right now.
I thought I was gay, guys. I don't know what's going on. So she like comes in. She's wearing a full like leather, like basically she's wearing Sandy's outfit at the end of Grease.
Yes.
but like updated, and she looks incredible. And she is the way Renee, because she played this on Broadway, but she had a different style that she played it. Like she still has, like, she is so good at like running riffs. Her vocal acrobatics are incredible. She's such a great singer.
Jimmy Award winner, Renee Rapp.
But the way that she has like mellowed all the songs and like kind of, obviously they are trying to go for like more of a Billie Eilish kind of sound for sure. But it
matches the orchestration of the music specifically.
Well, she's a pop star now, is the thing. And they made the music more pop, and it works for her because she can do both musical theater and pop.
Yeah.
I like the fact that there was a part of me that I was like, oh, I'm so old, because I was like listening to it and I was like, I don't know if I know every word she's saying. But then I was like, that's also my musical theater performer screaming in the back of my head, like enunciate. And she's like, I don't have to. It doesn't matter.
Regina George, I don't have to do anything.
I guess it's not show, don't tell, because she is like speaking, but like it's just another way to be like, this is this character through like a different.
I think also when we're talking about the difference between Rachel McAdams, Regina George, and Renee Rapp, is that the original Regina George, I think you can tell, has some insecurity in her that leads to the meanness. She is also always fighting to be the one on top. This Regina George is not insecure.
No.
She just is this. And then I think she started out like this. She started out as an alpha. She learned her power and then decided to have fun with that power.
Yes.
Because she knew that there were no consequences to how she could play with people. Whereas the other Regina, I think, clawed her way up to the power and she seeks it and tries to maintain it. And this Regina is like, until Katie actually successfully gets under her skin, she doesn't think there's any way for her to lose her power.
Yeah.
Because even when she which
I think makes sense because they don't, in the original movie, they set up that the next year there's another group of plastic. So it seems like it's almost like a cyclical
You fully cut off RJ though.
I know.
What do you want?
Listeners, please write in.
To HR.
To HR, free check. Even when she gets like taken out of the lunch table and Katie's like fully taking her seat, she doesn't feel like she's like completely destroyed.
No.
She is fully just like, well, great. Enjoy it. Yeah, she's like, well, great, enjoy it. And she still walks away in these sweats that she still looks so cool in.
She looks so good.
Even when she's like doing like her treadmill, I was like, she still knows that like I'm still better than everyone in the school.
That is again the slightly confusing thing about the plot line about her putting on weight and stuff. Is like she looks just as good. Like they really in the 2004 movie make Rachel McAdams look put together in some scenes and then not put together with the you know, when she kind of falls from grace. And like they really just like can't make Renee Rapp look bad. Like,
I know.
It's like not possible.
God bless. I also like the scene when Katie comes out on top because that's when Janice is like, you won, you did it. And she's like, there's one more thing I have to do. And that's what she has to do. She has to put Regina in her place.
Yeah.
And she does this thing. I think this scene is set up so well too. Like Regina comes up with the tray and she's wearing sweatpants, blah, blah, blah. It's not Friday. And Katie like turns around and like puts her arms back on the table and like looks. But this girl,
it's so awkward.
What is her name? I'm so sorry.
Anjuri.
Okay. Anjuri Rice. She does this thing where you still feel like
she's
you're
pretending
not totally this person.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as good as like when like I want to see Renee do this like I'm the queen bee. It doesn't feel right on you.
That first when the guy like tries to hit on Katie.
Yeah.
And she just demolishes him.
Oh my God.
It's incredible.
It's so powerful. And I was like, so when are you going to stop using that fake voice that you do to make it sound like you're manlier? Does everyone here want to have him stop?
Making everyone raise their hands to say who wants him to go back to his regular voice. Oh my God.
That's why I'm like,
she's
not mean in this movie.
No.
Yeah.
It's that... It's not that I'm trying to say that they're not mean. It's that I don't think it's having as much fun with them having.
Yeah.
That's what I think the difference is.
But I think also we're 20 years from the original.
Yep.
And where we went through like the Obama administration, like having to do like stop bullying campaigns because of the amount of like suicide that was happening in school. And I'm sure still is.
Yeah.
So it feels like we are more socially aware of consequences of bullying. So it's almost like, should you even be making this film and glorifying Renee Rapp to the extent that I want to become Renee Rapp?
Yeah.
But I also...
I want to be bullied by Renee Rapp.
Or I want to be bullied by Renee Rapp specifically.
Yeah,
I want her to read me.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like I wish that this movie could exist, but only be viewed by adults because I just... I don't want kids to glorify that being mean, but I want to be bullied by Renee Rapp, and I am a consenting adult that can choose to be bullied by Renee Rapp.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But this is where I want to talk about. So in the original, Regina gets hit by a bus.
Yeah.
She ends up in a brace. She doesn't have a single line the rest of the film once she gets hit by that bus.
She's just visually
She's
present.
visually present.
Yeah.
In this, we have a nice moment, I think, in the bathroom at the Spring Fling.
Yeah.
Where her and Katie
apologizes to her.
Katie apologized to her, and they kind of come to an amends or some kind, even though there are these really honestly great jokes about like that she's on painkillers and can't.
Renee Rapp being on painkillers is the funniest part of the whole movie.
So
it was my favorite
funny.
thing was every choice she made.
Her
catching the crown and like not noticing she didn't catch it. Her just when she watches people doing dance moves with their neck and she like kind of tries to do it even though she's in a full brace. It's so funny.
It's so funny.
The funniest. I'm going to say for me, the funniest new joke of this movie is when she's like, you know what they would call you if you were a man. Or you know what they would call me if I was a man? She was like, strong. And then she goes, Reginald. That is the most Jayne Krakowski joke from 30 Rock I've ever heard.
So funny.
I
And you know what makes it so brilliant is the fact that you think that they're gonna like really hit you home with the feminist message, and they're like, no, we're just not. And I just love them for it.
And I think I was saying to RJ, like, I think a large part of some people's critiques of like Barbie, going back to Barbie, was that it felt very earnest. Like that monologue that America Ferrera has is just like feminism 101, blah, 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 blah. And I think if they had let it be that moment of like, if I was a man, they would have called me strong, and that would have been it. I think it would have been fine. I think it would have been true, to be quite honest. But at the same...
Okay, I don't fully agree. I think that if a man was this mean, we would also have critiques of him, actually. If we were like making people raise their hands in the lunchroom to agree with whether a guy should change his voice. I think that he would also be considered a jerk as a man, personally.
He'd become president. He did. But I think that the ending it with like a really like so basic joke that's so
such a stupid joke
is so good. And I think that is Tina Fey's like
that's where she shines.
Yes, when she's
good, she's good.
Yeah, when it's goofy, it's so goofy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what? I'm a woman, and sometimes I just want to see a movie and have fun, and I don't want it to be about feminism. Not everything has to be about feminism if it's for women. That's my message today.
Thank you.
I'm going to play a little bit of World Burn, and then I want to have a quick conversation about Gretchen and Karen.
Okay.
Because I have something I want to say about at least Gretchen.
Okay.
And then I guess we can end with like I See Stars.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So here's World Burn.
World Burn.
My name is Regina George. This girl is a fugly cow. Hey, Katie, how you like me now? I wanna watch the world burn. I brought the gasoline. I wanna watch the world burn and everyone get near. I wanna watch the world burn. I got the gasoline. I wanna watch the world burn and everyone get me.
I mean, the fact that this song hits and you are fully on Regina's side, you like want to see it happen.
Yeah.
I think plot wise also, I just to commend the original film. This is such a smart plot twist.
That plot twist is so good.
It's so good. I don't think it reads as great here as it does in the original, but also like I know the plot twist, blah, blah, blah.
I think it leads in that we already know.
Yeah.
Because I remember I do remember the first time watching it and be like, because you think she's gonna write about Katie, and then she sets it up so she's a victim,
and then it's her picture, and it's the meanest thing you could do. Like, the way that she makes herself the victim is so horrible. I also want to point out that this, I believe, when she comes to school in that outfit, is the only time that they have someone recreate the exact look.
I said that too. Because all of her clothing looks great. Obviously, like they're very much updated. Right. Even in the very simple clothing choices that she has, like the scene where she brushes Aaron's hair, she's just wearing kind of like a tube top and like green pants or something.
Yeah.
That I'm like, this looks so simple, but she looks like the coolest girl in the school.
Yeah.
But also like that the
neckline
having the like low.
Yes.
Like the
low
off
black
the shoulder,
sweater,
ponytail,
bra.
iconic look
with the ponytail. Yeah,
her standing there as everyone is
moving around her. It's so iconic, and I was like, the only other costuming that they do basically verbatim is Gretchen wears the sexy cat outfit for the Halloween party.
Okay, I don't remember if is it the same. Like she's doing a sexy cat, but is it like it looks exactly the same, or is it just like they're both cats?
I think it's just maybe it's just that they're both cats. But
okay, because Karen's also a sexy mouse, but it's a different sexy mouse outfit.
Yeah, but her yes. But I was like impressed that more that I was like, oh, I guess it's so funny that this look is still like with us in 2024.
Or it's like come back
it's still with us.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the movie is good and I had a fun time watching it, and I do think like if you were just like, I just want to watch Renee Rapp, I think that's a valid reason to pay $10 to go see this film. I'm so for real. Okay. Well, we talked about Karen, and she was a sexy mouse. So I'll play a little bit of her Halloween song "Sexy," which is just like a fun little upbeat number that she gets to do with a little dance break. It's fun.
When you are the hot one, it's a full-time gig, looking like what people wanna see. Once a year I'm not, I dress up and dream big, disguised as someone else who is not me, but it's still hot. I can be who I wanna be and sexy. I can be who I wanna be and hot. Don't like who you are, then hit that costume shop, rock a new and different sexy look. Why be so downhearted? Blast some trashy pop and drop it to this hot and sexy hook. I can be who I wanna be and sexy. I can be.
So that's sexy. It's fun.
I was telling Adam it felt very like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, like the like outlandish lyrics of like sexy
Rosa Parks.
sexy Rosa Parks.
It is very Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I will say, because I know the music somewhat, it's one of my favorite songs in the original, and I was a little sad how poppy they made it, but I loved the dance sequence, and it makes sense that she's a dancer.
It is poppy, but it's also
disco. That's why.
Disco.
Yeah,
Which I was like,
that's probably why I was disappointed.
I think it's
that's why you were so upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is a true highlight of this movie.
Yeah, she's
anytime
so
Karen is on. Also, they do this bit in the original musical where she comes out and she does the "If I could have one thing, I would wish every day to be Halloween and also world peace." And then she's like, "Wait, I should switch that." So she walks off stage and then comes back on stage. And in this, she's filming like a TikTok, and so just resets and starts the TikTok over. And it's such a smart update.
Yeah, to turn it to film. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And when she applies her highlight with her grilled cheese, and she's like,
"Oh my god, so funny!" I was like, "Where are we going with like she's just eating a sandwich and applying highlighter? Like, why is this happening?" And then when she starts putting out the sandwich, it was amazing. Do you know what though? I just realized it would have also been very funny with the TikTok if she had walked off screen and started again. Like she's too dumb to even understand that she can.
She just turned it off.
Sorry, continue.
So, and they honestly, I was surprised they didn't do the. I can tell there's a 30% chance it's already rating.
Oh yeah,
because that's like Karen's like iconic line.
Yeah, her moment.
Okay. Gretchen, on the other hand, who I think this performance is really good.
Yes.
I really like this performance a lot. I think she's very sweet in this movie. And Gretchen is always, of the three, I think she's always been like my favorite of the plastics.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because there's so much going on.
Yes. There's like a clear like person, like an arc.
Yeah. I'm going to play a little bit of her song, which is called What's Wrong With Me.
What's wrong with me? What can I do? What's wrong with me? Could it be you? It's probably me. See that you see. What's wrong with me?
I am just every time we switch to the different songs, I'm just reading the highlight comment of each of these, and it's always an MT girly that's like, I can't believe they changed.
Can't believe they ruined this.
They changed it.
This one I actually like because they didn't change the melody from the original. I'm like, guys,
we get it. We heard the original Broadway cast recording.
This song is sung by this character Gretchen, who we've known for about 3 minutes in this film at this point. This is right after Apex Predator. It's the first day that she meets. It's the first day Katie meets ever. It's her first day at school, and she is invited back to Regina's house after school, where she's going to get a pair of new shoes, or a pair of Regina's old shoes, actually. And I feel like this is a bad song because we are giving away Gretchen's inner story way too soon. Too soon. Yeah. It's fine. I still think I would probably say Anywhere in this would probably still make it a bad song because the lyrics are so there's not a metaphor in sight. Yeah. Just truly no symbolism, no poetry, no lyricism.
It's just text. There's no subtext.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And it fits with the rest of the songs since there's not a lot of symbolism going on in any of these songs, but it's a song that you should endear you to her. And I think I'm sure for people it does, but for me, it just is so surface level that it bums me out, because I think you could have, I think it is interesting that at the end of the movie, she's like, I have a 140 IQ, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm really good at things.
I love that she says, and parents who love me. That was great.
And I just think, like, then let it eke out organically, or let it be more than this.
I think that's a great point, that it should have come later, in terms of, we should have seen Gretchen do something terrible, kind of not like her, and then had the song later to let us, to then endure us to her a little bit more.
Yeah, like, why am I doing this? What is this all for? Yeah.
I think that this actress is doing a good job, but she sort of has a bad role. Like, I feel like Gretchen has to do a lot of the sincere work of, like, us being sad for her is kind of like her function in this movie. Whereas I feel like Lacey Chabert's Gretchen had a lot more room to be more funny and, like, also be a little bit meaner. Honestly, it's almost like Gretchen and Karen don't do anything mean at all in this version, because we don't have, like, the three-way call or any of those scenes that are, like, very, like, they hinge on Gretchen and Karen really being in on the being mean stuff.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I think
I totally forgot about the three-way call.
Yeah, how dare you?
Iconic.
They could have done a fun Instagram live, and it was just like swapping back and forth.
Right. Or just, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be, not everything on social media has to be live. That's a complaint that I have, is that, you know, you can use phones to, like, just call people and have it be private. Anyway.
I don't have to say I'm here right now.
It's a complaint that I have, not about, like, people in the world. It's a complaint I have about adaptations of social media, is that they're always portrayed as, like, and it has to be on live. And it's like, I'm sure that there are teens who are, like, on live all the time, but I bet there are more teens that are, like, using Snapchat to just talk to each other and not to put it on out for everyone. Anyway, I think that Gretchen as a character struggles in this movie to have a purpose beyond us feeling sad for her, is what I'm trying to say.
Can I ask one more question about Gretchen? Yeah. She brings out this music box. This is the point. This is where the melody of the song is coming from, is this music box she pulls out. And she says that her abuelo gave it to her. Why? Why did she say that? Here's more specifically my question. Yeah. Her name is Gretchen Wieners. They did not change that. Obviously, anyone who has an abuela, there are white Hispanics. Yep. Okay. That is okay. There is I feel like, I don't know if it was like, we want to feel like we've cast more than just, like, Avantika as Karen. So it feels like we're hitting I really hate to sound like I'm saying that they're trying to hit a quotient, but, like, it's so unnecessary that it felt like it pulled me out of it, and I wish it didn't, because I don't know if this actress
the actress said abuelito, and Adam audibly went, oh, and people laughed behind us. It was so shocking, because we were like, oh
yeah, because it is a little shoehorned.
The actress name is BB Wood.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do a quick search on her background, and maybe she is, and I just didn't know, but
I mean, I'll say I think that they did a great job of.
Yeah, she's
Cuban.
The Wikipedia has one line that says her role as Gretchen Wieners in Mean Girls features a nod to her Cuban heritage.
Okay,
great, cool.
I mean, I think it's great that they cast a South Asian person as Karen, and then I
think it's so cool. Yeah,
Ali and Jaquel,
Gretchen, and so I mean, they definitely added a lot more racial diversity to this version. I think that, you know, if they want to make it clear that the character is Hispanic, maybe they could do a little bit more than just the one line.
And then never refer it again.
And then it never comes back. Yeah. Because I think the guy that she ends up with is, like, Hispanic, so they could have, like, spoke Spanish to each other or something. Like, it could have been fun. They could have done a little bit more. Anyway. Okay. I See Stars. This is the last song of the show, the last song of the movie.
The iconic shattering of the plastic tiara. And Aaron gasps.
I'm going to play the movie version, then I'll play the musical version. Okay.
I went alone at high. That was my problem. I don't be frightened like me. The darker the night, the brighter you shine. So be a light wherever darkness goes. I'll be a light to guide.
it's just musical theater versus pop. Like that's just the conversation, and I think people are not open.
People are
to
very
that.
protective.
People are very protective.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started this whole thing saying it's afraid to be a musical. I wish I had leaned more into the musical theater thing in terms of the visuals. I do think that they could have kept it a little more musical theater I'm fine with them taking a pop turn, but I think they could have leaned a little bit more into the true musical theater sound. I think that this song is perfectly adequate. It's like,
absolutely.
It's like not, I don't have any complaints about it. It's fine, but it also doesn't leave me on a high note either.
It feels like in the template for a musical, there needs to be a kind of inspiring song at the end. So this
feels
is the best.
a little bit like ChatGPT could have written it maybe, but I think that it's fine.
I think the only thing I have about this moment is that in the original Mean Girls, maybe because I can't separate Katie from
Lindsay Lohan.
Lohan.
That I don't, where she's like, you're all so beautiful. I don't buy that in the original movie. And that's not whatever. it has never really like worked with me. But in the movie, it's also like 30 seconds long. Like it doesn't linger on it in the way a song would. And I think this girl, I have to look at her name again. I'm so sorry. Anjali Rice. I like how she's a very pretty girl. She is not like a stunning, like
bombshell.
Really, yeah. She's not Renee Rapp.
It's not like an Anne Hathaway. Like when she became cool, all of a sudden it's like, wow, she's like beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
She is. Like she still feels like she really does feel like a girl next door type.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think because I also don't know her, I know preconceived notions of who she is as a person. Right. So this moment, even though I think the song is whatever, fine. I was like, I think I was more charmed by this moment in the movie because I was like, she feels so earnestly sweet in this moment. So I will say I liked this moment more than the original. I still didn't think it was a great moment, period, blah, 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 blah. I'm in like a weird in between.
Yeah, I agree
with this. And I also want to say, why can't they just call it prom? It's supposed to be prom. Just call it prom.
What do they call it?
Spring fling.
Oh.
And I don't know why. Just call it prom. Do you think Evanston High School is not calling their prom? It's called prom.
Maybe prom got copyrighted and we don't know about it.
Oh God.
Prom the musical.
Musical.
Maybe.
Starring what is his name? The guy we don't like.
James Corden.
Thank you.
James Corden.
Is there anything else that we want to talk about in regards to this movie?
I think I've made my thoughts pretty clear. Feel comfortable with it?
I think people should still watch it. I think it's
even
if you're not a fan of adaptations, even if you are like maybe you did see the musical and you didn't like it, I would still watch it because I think this is genuinely and generally effective of kind of bringing a new version of this musical, or even just like movie. In general.
I think if you like musicals or if you like the original Mean Girls, it's worth watching.
I think so.
Yeah.
And give Renee Rapp some coins.
Get her some coins. Or to stream her albums. That's also good.
Yeah.
You love him, and he totally complimented you. That is so fetch. Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
So this movie has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That seems fair. Seems good.
Owen Gleiberman from Variety writes, the songs carry you through with the cross-cutting fireworks of Revenge Party being a particular highlight. And the story still crackles, especially when it culminates in the revealing of the burn book, Regina's secret Bible of viciousness, a plot twist that's like Harriet the Spy updated to the age of Instagram. As Janice, the pierced art punk, shamed by Regina in middle school for her sexuality, who tries to wrest Katie out of the inferno of popularity, Ali Carvalho creates the film's most authentically gritty every girl character. She sparks every moment she's in. Anjali Rice, when she has to turn mean, does it with searing conviction, though the way the transition happens is a bit jarring. At first we think, is this really her? The answer is no, it's not. She's pretending to be mean because that's what she thinks she's supposed to be. But the canniness of Mean Girls in 2004, and it's still there, is that the film understands that the meanness that can seem like it has taken over American teenage life is at root a performance. Mean Girls says to be mean is to be someone other than yourself.
It's just interesting with what we were talking about with Janice's song. Then it seems like what she's saying is like being yourself is sometimes being mean. So
yeah,
I don't know. Confusing message.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Phillips from the Chicago Tribune. I have a Chicago Tribune subscription now for a year.
Oh, wow. Thank you for supporting local journalism.
Yeah. But the Mean Girl fun of Mean Girls feels different today, curdled somehow. Too many of us know stories, secondhand or otherwise, of high school bullying taken too lightly with awful, tragic results. The new movie can't forsake its entire comic personality to accommodate that much of the real new world. That said, Regina's Destroy All Enemies anthem, World Burn, sung in the movie by Renee Rapp, feels like a dramatic misjudgment. It's a key number, but like much of the work here by first-time feature directors Samantha, Jayne, and Arturo Perez Jr., the visual fabulizing, full of crimson, apocalyptic rage, and high notes, has a way of falsifying rather than intensifying the emotion. In the movie, Anjali Rice plays Katie. The auxiliary plastics are portrayed by Avantika Vadanapu and B.B. Wood. These characters have traveled from wittily subtle caricatures in the 2004 versions to a much broader realm of exaggeration. And while Rapp's Regina conveys a fuller, more troubled range of nastiness and sadness than Rachel McAdams was asked to deliver in 2004, Mean Girls, I think, as a stage property and a film version thereof, makes the common musical theater mistake of overexploiting its antagonist. The musical's viewpoint and sympathies remain squarely with two characters, the ones who first befriend Katie. Janice, played by Ali Carvalho, and Damien, played by Jaquel Spivey. Queer and fabulous in neatly contrasting ways, they are the ones bringing us into their world, first singing to us a cautionary tale, a solid opener to composer Jeff Richmond and lyricist Nell Benjamin's unevenly effective score from behind a cell phone camera. It is Janice who has benefited most from this material's 20-year adaptation span.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
And Valerie Complex from Dateline writes, one of the more jarring aspects of the film is its heightened sexualization. The story, which I'm curious what you think about this. Okay.
Yeah.
The story attempts to incorporate a Euphoria-esque aesthetic to inject a sense of camp, but this direction feels forced and out of place within the Mean Girls universe. This addition is unnecessary as
How
it neither
old is Valerie Complex?
I don't know. This addition is unnecessary as it neither serves the plot nor aligns with the spirit of the original film, which handled teenage sexuality with a more authentic touch. However, amidst its flaws, this version does effectively highlight the theme of manipulation and the use of Katie for personal gain. While this theme was present in the original, it is explored with greater clarity in this adaptation, offering insightful commentary on the importance of self-awareness and conviction. The film's saving grace is the performances of Ali Carvalho and Renee Rapp. Their sexual singing talents are undeniable highlights, bringing much-needed energy and vibrancy to the film. Their magnetic screen presence hints at the potential that could have been realized with better source material. Making movies is hard. Adapting musicals into films is likely even more so. While Mean Girls 2024 commendably attempts to modernize and expand upon its predecessor, it ultimately struggles to deliver a cohesive and engaging narrative. The film's lack of focus, inconsistent musical integration, and unnecessarily over-sexualization foreshadow its few strengths. The 2004 film has cemented its place in cinema and pop culture, while the 2024 version is likely to be forgotten.
And is the over-sexualization in the room with us now?
Does she just think that Renee Rapp is too sexy? Is that what's happening? Because there was a lot of sexualization in the original movie.
Yes. I feel like more blatant jokes about like hooking up and
the only like on-screen sexuality that I was like
is when Aaron catches them in the janitor's closet.
And then like during Apex Predator, there's like a bunch of like the choreography of them acting like animals is like some of them are like horny in the background.
But no, it seems like this person is saying it's like because they compare it to Euphoria, it feels like
this.
Let me be
very clear. This is nothing like Euphoria.
No.
It actually couldn't be further from Euphoria. And I'm very confused.
This is Bluey compared to Euphoria.
I'm very confused as to how this Valerie Complex. I'm very confused how they were like, oh, the 2004 is
more authentic.
They say it's authentic to teenage sexuality, and everything is so heightened in the original that I'm like, nothing's authentic.
Nothing's authentic.
It's a satire.
They make a joke about you have sex, you will get pregnant and die or whatever. It's like that's the commentary on sex. I think the only difference is that it seems like Regina might actually enjoy sex in this movie, as opposed to, I feel like it's just as clear that they're all sexually active in the first one, and it's only used for power.
Yeah.
There's never like an implication of like maybe they want to have sex because they just want to have sex. It's like
here she's like going out of her way to like cheat basically because she thinks he's hot or whatever. You know?
Like she actually likes him. The only reason she's back with Aaron is because she wanted to take him from Katie.
Yeah.
I don't know that I agree with the almost moral panic that having shows that portray high schoolers as having sex is sexualizing children. Like, they're not played by actual high schoolers.
Thank you.
I agree. Like, if we had a show that had 16 and 17-year-olds like simulating sex acts, that would be a problem. I don't know. I mean, whatever. I'm not like, I don't prey on children, so maybe I don't understand the headspace of somebody who's like looking for justification to do that. Right. And maybe we really need to be more cautious about it as a society. But like, I don't think that this movie is saying like, these are all sexually mature people and therefore fine for anyone to engage in sex with. I think it's just, it's a movie starring 20-somethings in reality that like, as part of the many things that they experience include sex. Like, I just don't think it's problematic.
Is it the joke of like Karen being like, you've had sex with 6 people?
11. It was 11. I thought it was funny that it was 11.
I don't know.
But that's like used to shame her, like that part. And I think that was very much more like the original film, the way that it was like, it's like they get power from it, but also you can be shamed for it. It's like that tension, I think, is very real to high school. And so
what a confusing,
I don't know.
Did she think the sexy dance at the Christmas dance was too hot?
The talent show performance, that is just exactly the same as
sexy.
It's not the same choreography, but like, I don't think it's more sexual than it was in the original. That's the whole point of the scene.
The funniest joke in this movie is when Damien sings the iCarly theme song
in French.
Like
Arturo French, black
so
and white.
Funny. Oh my God.
I can't, there are no words. That is so funny.
I'm so glad that they explained it, because I feel like some people in the audience maybe got it before I did because they knew that show. And so they were like laughing first. And then when they said like that was Damien singing the iCarly theme song, I lost it.
It's so funny. Ugh. Okay. Letterboxd. Vasily gave it 3.5 stars and called it Shein Girls.
Yep.
That's kind of the state of our aesthetic today.
Zoe Rose Bryant gave it 4 stars and said, as soon as Renee Rapp finished her first song, the gay guy sitting next to me said, that's the only girl I'd ever go for. Yeah. And that gay guy was me. Madeline said, warning, Regina George turns your kids lesbian. Issa gave it 2.5 stars and said, Renee, you have to stop. Your note's too high. Your swag too tough. Your bitch too bad. You serve too much cunt. They'll hit you with a bus.
Your bitch too bad is so funny. Your bitch too bad.
That's so funny. I want someone on Drag Race now to be like, you're serving so much cunt, they're going to hit you with a bus.
Hit you with a bus.
And Stone Tussie gave it 2.5 stars and said, there's a black and white scene in this movie that had a bigger impact on me than the first half of Maestro.
Drag the Bernstein.
Estate.
Oh, wow.
So since I did since I was gracious enough to do the summary of this film, I'm going to go first and say my MVP. And so I am going to say the MVP of this film is Renee Rapp. I'm going to go ahead and take that one. Yeah. And I think I actually need to say nothing else because we've said all that needs to be said about Renee.
Molly.
I think I'm going to go Ali. I think that her songs were so good. The performance was so good, and she brought so much energy onto screen. Even though I agree with RJ's critiques about where the "I'd rather be me" fits in the plot, it was I was so happy to have the energy at that moment in terms of the pacing too. So she really killed it.
You and the girls behind us, girl. That song is.
It has a grip on the musical theater.
On the musical theater girlies who are like, I'm a belter, but I don't want to be an ingenue.
Yeah,
and I don't have to be one because I'd rather be me.
Than an ingenue.
And I will make my MVP Jacquel Spivey. He was iconic. It was so lived in that it really felt like it made the world feel real because this person was so real. And I was like, I'm watching real conversations happen.
It is extremely hard to make someone both larger than life and fully real.
Yeah.
And he is, it's such an incredible performance. He's
I think
so
his
good in this
first
movie.
line too is when Janice says something about like, and people die, and he goes, no one died. And he delivers it perfectly. He sets it up as like, this is the bar and I'm going to meet it in every moment of this film.
Yeah. It's so funny. He also does a Fosse joke in that first number. That's really funny. It's really funny.
It's because we are the art freaks. We're the art freaks.
I want to watch a supercut of just Damien and Avantika moments in this.
So good.
Just Damien and Karen.
Also, I want to say before we go to Molly's closer, I will say that I thought it was very cool and interesting that they made her art like embroidery.
Yeah,
I thought
it was
that was
really
like
beautiful.
Because like the easy way is just be like she just like is a sketch artist or whatever, but like
she is embroidering, like just walking around school with her.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
The cross stitch girls are eating it
their
up.
mind. The Shein cross stitch girlies are so seen in this movie.
You feel seen.
Molly, what's your
representation matters?
I think this one's gonna be fast because I think there's a clear right answer, but cast us as the plastics.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Oh, should I just tell you what the answer is?
Yes.
And then we'll be done with the podcast.
Yes.
Great. So RJ is Karen, and Adam, you're Regina, and I'm Gretchen.
Absolutely.
And I look just like, for those of you who have never seen me,
who have just only
ever heard my voice,
or that this is people listening in the future, and all they have left are audio tapes.
When we send a USB drive of all these files just out into space for an alien to find
made
one
of
day,
gold so that it can.
I want everyone. I want everyone in planet Zelor, but
yes, I am as hot as Renee Rapp, and that is what is important to know about.
And I was like, okay, don't laugh too good now. Okay, everyone.
It's not that funny.
It's not that funny.
Molly. RJ.
This is why you're so attracted to her, is because she's the only person you've ever seen who's your equal.
It's the first time I've ever seen myself on screen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ever in my life. And that's representation, baby. Well, that's it for us. RJ, did you want to sing the Every Musical Theater Girlie's favorite song right now?
Yeah, but I'd rather be me. I'd rather be me
than be with you. Tune in next time where we're going to watch The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which we did like 2 months ago.
Woo!
Thank you for listening to the best revival of a podcast, Showgays. You can find us on social media. Adam is at Adam Noecker on Twitter. RJ is at RJ Food Rocks on Instagram. And Molly is at Molly Matiny on Instagram. This episode was edited and mixed by Adam Noecker. This has been an Ampliverse production. You can find our show page and more information at theampliverse.com. If you'd like to send us your own takes on the movie we just watched, reach out to us via email and we might read it aloud on the show. Our email is showgaysmoviemusical@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your podcasts. And as always, rate, review, and subscribe to help others find the show. And now, as always, the show must go on, so stick around to hear what we're going to be watching next episode.
Mais je ne pourrai jamais vivre sans toi. Je ne pourrai pas, ne pars pas, j'en mourrai. Je te cacherai et je te garderai. Mais mon amour, ne me quitte pas.
Tu sais bien que ce n'est pas possible.
Je ne te quitterai
Mon amour, il faudra pourtant que je parte. Tu sauras que moi, je ne pense qu'à toi. Mais je sais que toi, tu m'attendras.
Discovering voices. Building worlds. The Ampliverse.